Hi, everyone. Anyone and everyone. Renita, is that you? Hi. I'm hoping that today, oh my gosh, I have to manually allow everyone to talk. Hopefully I've done that. If anybody wants to unmute and say hello. Talking
Hi,
permitted.
Marcy.
Hi. Who's that?
Renita.
Hey, great to see you here.
You too.
Or not see you, as the case may be. And we have, hi, who else would like to say hello? I'm going to have to allow everyone to talk, apparently.
Bob Hall here in North Carolina.
Hi, Bob. Welcome.
Thank you.
Who's here for the first time on one of these, I call them show and tell or dog and ponies. Who's here for the first time? Anybody brand new?
Hi, Marcy. It's Bev Van Hatten from Vancouver. First time.
Yeah, but Bev, I know you. Bev, aren't you on our once a monthly calls?
Well, I might be supposed to be, but maybe I'm not showing up. Oops.
Oh, that's okay. No worries.
No,
So,
I think you know me from Anna Vivarkis.
yes, that's what I mean to say.
Yeah.
Like once a yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
good to see you.
Yeah, fun to be here. I just purchased the program, so I'm excited to learn how to use it.
Excellent. Now, is there anybody here who came to the first of this 3-part series? And I'm just going to keep trying to give people permission as they come on in. I'm just curious if anybody watched the first one of these. Okay.
This is Rowena, and I signed up for the first one, but could not attend the new time.
Oh, I'm so sorry, and I'm glad that you're here today. Now, the recording for the first one that I did is up, and there'll be a moment in the presentation here where you'll be able to see that link, and it's on YouTube. So if anybody wants to watch that, we are going to review a bit that first that month ago presentation as well, very briefly.
Okay. I have a question, Marcy.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead and say who you are, because I can't always see who's speaking.
Okay, this is Rowena from Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I'm looking at the chat and it said chat disabled. Is that intentional?
Not on my part. Show chat previews. Yeah, what happens is I do not have power over the setup of these meetings, and I've got to see if there's a way hosts and panelists can chat with attendees can chat with everyone. There you go. How's that?
Okay, now I see it. Thank you.
You're very welcome, and thanks for bringing that up. I wanted to make sure that we could do that this time, so that if people have questions. Now, here's something called Q&A. Bev said, yeah, Q&A works.
Good
okay,
afternoon,
well, good afternoon or good evening or good morning, wherever people are. Okay, now someone has got Sukhjit. Is that you with some background noise? I believe maybe it is.
Yeah, this is from my laptop itself. Maybe
Excellent.
It is too on.
What I'd like to ask everyone to do is to mute yourself, mute your microphone, unless it's time to ask a specific question. So if everyone wouldn't mind muting themselves, it's little after 4 p.m. here in California. So we've got someone still here with some background noise. Sukhjit, I believe that's you. If you wouldn't mind turning off of your microphone. Wonderful. Well, it's coming and going. I'm going to mute you, actually. I think I can do that. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now, first of all, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's session. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share my screen and get us started. Already, I'm off to a banging start there with the wrong thing. There we go. So, my name is Marcy Mearns, and I'd like to welcome everyone to our second in a three-part series on building repertory skills. This is part 2. And for those of you who are brand new to the software, I recommend, in fact, this goes for everyone, but especially if you're brand new, the purpose of this session is not to give you a step-by-step how to use the software. So sit back, watch what I do. In this kind of a session, I will generally go much more rapidly and cover a lot more ground than I would be covering in a simple how-to presentation. There are a lot of how-to presentations out there. I have a series of 3 videos that I did, and I'll show those to you if you're interested. But what we're going to do today, let me just go to our agenda, is we're going to review what we did last month. And I'm understanding that the bulk of people who are here today were not here for the previous session. So we will review the key points on one of those cases. And then we're going to spend the bulk of our session here today, probably about 45, 50 minutes on a case of whiskey drinking. And then we will wrap up with some Q&A for you. Okay. So just as I said, a bit of housekeeping here. What I want to do quickly is I'm just going to check my chat windows. And okay. What I'd like to ask people to do is, if you have a question, please type something into the chat, and I will pause periodically and go ahead and take a look at those questions, and then I can either ask you to further elaborate, or I'll try and answer the question, or I'll put you off altogether and we'll get to them at the end. Okay? So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and start our presentation today. Again, this is Building Repertory Skills, Learning from the Masters, Part 2. Okay? So what we did last time, and this is not only by way of review, but this is to remind us the direction that we're going to head today. What I've done with this series is taken a look at cured cases from, let's call it, from the literature, and tried to pull out some methodology and some thinking of these masters that we can apply in our own case analysis work. And we're talking primarily about constitutional cases, and we are using very fundamental classical homeopathic principles. Okay, so here's our quotation with the highlighted portion from Kent, taken from essay called Use of the Repertory. The part I want to emphasize is highlighted here. The symptoms must be judged as to their value as characteristics in relation to the patient. Remember that. They must be passed in review by the rational mind to determine those which are strange, rare, and peculiar. Those, as we know in Kent's way of thinking, are going to be the symptoms of the highest order. So, for those of you who would like to review the case, this is called a case of colic. This is essentially the case that we did last time, and I've put a YouTube link here for you. Again, if you want to screenshot this so you can type it down and go look for this later, that's where this video is located of the entire session that we did last time, where there's a lot of detail. We worked out this case. Okay. Now, again, this is not a case from Kent. This is a case from another famous homeopath, and these are all cured cases, and we use them for learning. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to run through what we did last time and talk about the rubrics that we chose. So this first set of rubrics, taken again directly from the case text here, objective symptoms during pain. These would be what we might call our objective observations. This patient had a red face, eyes shining, pupils widely dilated, and the pains come and go quickly. So this first clipboard that you'll see summarizes those symptoms in our analysis for the first go round. So these would be the objective observations. We move on to the next part of the presentation of the case, which is during an attack, he will bite others if possible, or failing that, he will set his teeth in his own arm until the blood flows. So you'll notice here that on clipboard 2 now, what we've done is we've repertorized those symptoms, that symptom actually of biting. We have the mind symptom biting, and we also have the violence as a mind symptom. Okay, so little by little, we're fleshing out this case. And finally, we have a third symptom here, or a third piece of the puzzle, if you will. 3 able-bodied men have been trying to control him with only partial success. So how did I turn that symptom into repertory language? You'll see here on clipboard 3, we have insanity with increased strength. And here's an interesting symptom in the literature. You might not have known this one exists, but in the mind chapter, rage had to be changed. So this really demonstrates the level of violence and strength that this particular patient was exhibiting. Okay, so let's move on and think about our analysis. This is basically the case as it was given. There's not a lot to it here. All right. Let's go back for just a moment and remind ourselves, what are we looking at? The symptoms which are strange, rare, and peculiar. So by now, we're here. We've got 3 different clipboards representing all of the symptoms that can be easily verified in this patient. Let's take a look at what is standing out. Obviously, the first thing we notice is that, and we would expect this, is that the first 3 remedies that appear in this analysis are in the Solanaceae family. We have belladonna, and then of course stramonium closely related, as well as hyoscyamus related. And even those 3 remedies all come through even in this last clipboard where we have that insane rage happening, right? So how are we going to solve the case? Well, here's what the prescriber did. Basically, again, as I said, we're looking for this strange, rare, and peculiar. So if we go back here for just a moment, you'll notice that there is a symptom here. Oh, am I still here? Okay, can someone tell me that they still see and hear me?
Hi,
Hello?
Marcy. Yes.
Thank you. For some reason, I got a really weird thing that said you have been signed out.
Oh,
And I was like, whoa, I don't think so. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your help. Okay, so we're looking for the strange, rare, and peculiar, right? And you'll notice if we want to look at the weighting or the analysis here, this first number, I should say the second number here, the number 8 for belladonna, that simply tells us the number of rubrics in which our remedy appears, because I'm using the sum of symptoms sorted degrees. So belladonna appears in 8 symptoms, stramonium and hyoscyamus each appear in 7. What's missing is the pains appear and disappear suddenly, right? So, as you might imagine, for our strange, rare, and peculiar symptom, in this case, the prescriber rightly noticed that the fact of the pains appearing and disappearing suddenly points us to the best remedy for the patient, and the remedy that was given was belladonna. Okay, and here's just a little screenshot of that particular rubric. You'll notice belladonna is there in a grade 3, and none of those other remedies that were high on our analysis. Well, cantharis is there. Okay, let's go back and look for a minute. Would we want to give cantharis in this case? Whoops, I was going to try and move that little circle, but it doesn't want to go. Cantharis, okay. Doesn't quite have the level of rage and violence that we would be looking for here, huh? So let me see if I can reorient myself. Okay, so there's, let's go. Whoops. I went a little too far. There we go. So there's our case of colic from last time. And again, this is all covered in quite a bit of detail in that first session that I did. So if you want to go back and look for that, actually, if we have time at the end, I'll show you how to go back and find that video. And if not, you can write to support and they'll hook you up. Okay. Now, I did prepare, but I'm not going to go into it, a review of the second case, because we did 2 cases last time. we did a case called a heavy tea drinker. But in the interest of time, I don't want to spend any more time doing a review today. I want to sort of jump directly into our case so that we make sure we have plenty of time to get through it. But again, that first session, there were 2 different cases, and we walked through the repertorization and so on and so forth, and the thinking behind it all. Okay, so let me just grab here. So somebody in the Q&A has Paul. Okay, good. Thanks, Paulette. Everybody's letting me know they can hear me, and so far, no questions in the chat. So let's just go ahead and get right on into it. Okay, so this is a case of Kent's from a volume called Lesser Writings, and it includes clinical cases. Okay, and I I called it whiskey drinking because I found it listed that way somewhere, and I kind of like that as an overview for the case. But technically and officially, I think Kent calls it a case of alcoholism, dyspnea, and loss of memory. Okay, so I gave myself a note here to go to the PDF because I don't want to try and read on the slide. And if anybody wants, I usually have them upload all of these documents with the video. So if you wanted to upload them, or download them, you could do that. Okay, so and forgive me, I'm going to go really quickly through this because we're going to break this whole case down and we're going to get it onto the clipboards and all that stuff. All right. So Mr. So-and-so, age 52, had been addicted to whiskey drinking for many years. States that he had a copious flow of blood from the bowels some 4 months ago. He considered himself well up to 2 years ago. During these 2 years, he has declined steadily, growing weaker all the time, he says. At present, the exertion of walking a few blocks to my office caused suffocation. In fact, it was some minutes before he could talk. He was so out of breath. After the loss of blood above mentioned, his feet began to swell, and at this time, both limbs to middle of thighs were very edematous. He has had 2 or 3 nondescript chills. A few days ago, he had a sudden paralytic weakness of left arm and leg, which passed off in 3 hours, leaving a numbness in the left hand and rending pain in the left side of head and face. I dare say that's probably why he finally came in, huh? This paralytic weakness now has just become too much. But who knows? Continuing, no appetite, and there are bloody mucus discharges with the stool, which is otherwise normal. Then we have, I feel as if in a dream all the time. Here's the loss of memory. His wife came with him for his safety and to tell his symptoms for him. Thinking hard enabled him to recall many of his symptoms and simple incidents. When I would let him talk, he would keep saying over and over, if I should run, I would drop dead. His face was covered with varicose veins and very red. A general venous stasis prevailed. Feeling on top of the head as if he'd been hit with a hammer. The wife said he often mentioned the last symptom. Must pass urine several times in the night, urine thick and cloudy after standing, but is clear when first passed. Has had much worry from financial losses during the last 10 years, which have made him resort to whiskey. He has always had a very red face. He cannot pass urine while sitting at stool, but it flows freely when he's standing. Albumin in the urine. He's taken much medicine during the last 2 years, always very strong. Now, here's what Kent says about the case. While this case seemed to be very unpromising, oh, I shouldn't show you. Well, I'm not going to show you the remedy anyway. Let's not spoil the finale here. When this case seemed to be very unpromising and the wife was promptly informed that the case would most likely produce fatal, I was urged so strongly by her that I took considerable time and settled upon a remedy. Can you imagine? I don't think in this day and age we would tell the spouse of our patient that it was likely to be a fatal outcome in the case. I just think we wouldn't do that. But there we go. So that's the case. And I guess, we got a little sneak peek there that Kent was successful in finding a remedy for this patient. And that's what we're going to look at today. Okay, so there's the whiskey drinking case. And what I try and do when I'm working up these cases is I'm trying to recreate what I imagine the prescriber was thinking about based on what I understand to be good case analysis, or at least my understanding of good case analysis, and how the prescriber in each instance has reminded us to look at the hierarchy of symptoms. Okay, so I'm simply going to go through this and basically show you how I got to solve the case, if you will, and where I found a couple of potholes, because the potholes are the things that we want to learn to avoid as we're moving on toward modeling these cases, right? Okay, and you know what? Is that a, forgive me here for just a moment. I need to quit emailing. There we go. Shut off my email. Okay, so let's go to the first slide here on our analysis of the case. Now, what I did when I took a look at this is I said, just like in that case of the, well, the previous belladonna case, we had a number of objective observations of the patient. And of course, this is something we should always do, is just take a good look at who is it in front of us. So these symptoms that you see, if you will, are excerpts that I took out of this case. Okay, they're not highlighted, they are scattered throughout the case here, but hopefully we can agree that these are objective symptoms that I can look at when I see the patient. And of course, we want to make sure that we're accurately describing just what we see in front of us. So first of all, the exertion of walking a few blocks to my office caused suffocation. So this is the dyspnea in the case, the shortness of breath. So this guy's got that really badly, okay? That's a prominent feature of what's going on with him. Now, forgetting about the loss of blood for just a moment, we have this feet, his feet began to swell. This was after the loss of blood some weeks ago. And his both limbs to the middle of the thighs are very edematous. In other words, there's a lot of swelling. So we can observe this. We don't have to ask anything. The guy comes in breathless. He's got swollen feet and legs. Then his face is covered with varicose veins and very red. Okay, so what are we going to do? Just pop a remedy off to him? We could probably think of several right off the bat, yeah? And this is what we're trying to avoid doing, is throwing a remedy at this poor patient whose case is likely to be, we already know this is in good hands with Dr. Kent, but you know, could be fatal. So let us go to our RadarOpus program. In fact, before we do that, I'm going to go one more slide. And I'm going to suggest that this list of symptoms that you see here, these are actual rubrics that I used to repertorize the case. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop through this really quickly, and I'm going to throw them on a clipboard. Now, I've already got the repertorization done for us, but I want to go ahead and take a few minutes so that you can see how we would create what I have here on this first clipboard. And again, we're just talking about our objective observations of the patient. So we have the extremity swelling, the edematous swelling, and the edematous swelling of the feet. Now, what I did is I combined those. We have the veins on the face, the red discoloration, and the difficult respiration after exertion. So let's see how good my memory is as we go to our RadarOpus program. And what I'm going to do is, I've got this case pretty much all over all my clipboards already. I'm just going to choose clipboard number 3 here right now. And I'm going to press and hold the Option key while I click that keyboard, making that what we would call the default clipboard in this instance. That means that whatever symptom I add is all going to fall, those are all going to fall onto that clipboard without too much effort. And I don't want to muck up what I already have laid out for myself. Now, I'm using Synthesis Repertory, the Adonis edition. If you don't have that, if you wanted to use, for example, let's open up the Repertory's table of contents here, and I wanted a different version of Synthesis, I could simply, as soon as I start typing Synthesis, I could use the Treasure edition. I'm going to have a slightly different count of remedies and a slightly different look to my analysis. And again, this is an old case, but I've gotten used to using my Synthesis Adonis, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that. Now, because I know exactly where I want to go in the repertory, we're not going to spend time doing a search. We'll look at that in just a moment. Pardon me, but the first thing I want to do is bring up my chapter navigation window, which I can do using the F2 key, and I'm just going to type extremities. All right, here's my extremities chapter, and I press enter to go into that section, and I want swelling. Isn't that right? Swelling of the feet. Let's do the swelling of the feet. Okay. Now, you'll notice that at each time as I begin typing, so right now I have extremity swelling up here. When I do, as soon as I start typing feet, you see, this list will narrow down to feet. As soon as the hand's pointing to feet, I can just use the enter key on my keyboard. Now, if I hit it one more time, I'm going to go straight into that rubric. And a very quick add to the default clipboard, it happens using the equal sign in the upper right-hand corner of my keyboard. So when I use the equal sign, now on that clipboard, here's my swelling of the feet. Okay, now I think it was supposed to be edematous, was it not? Okay, so there's actually this sub-rubric. If I want to go back into my navigation window, right where I was, I can use the F3. So if I go F3, extremities, swelling, feet, edematous. Let's try it. ED. See, as soon as I started typing that, edematous is highlighted by the hand. I'm going to get the enter and the enter key one more time. That's actually the rubric that I used in my analysis. So let's go ahead and use the equal sign and take that one. Let's go over here real quick and throw out this bigger one. Okay. How can I do that? I right click and I'm just going to go delete and get rid of it. Okay. So there's the edematous swelling of the feet, which is our first symptom. And see, already I've forgotten the rest of the stuff. Oh, extremities swelling edematous. Okay. So let's go back. Now, from any one of these clipboards, once we've got a symptom, remember, if you just double click, you're going to pop right back into that part of the repertory. The F3 again will bring up the navigation window, and I can say extremities swelling edematous, enter, enter. There it is. Use my equal sign, and I've now got both of those symptoms on that clipboard. Now, let's get a couple more of those. Oh, I remember what we had. We have the face, F-A-C-E. There's the face, enter, discoloration. Whoops, my bad. Let's try that again. Face, enter, discoloration, enter, red face. There it is. It's a huge rubric, but it's also very characteristic. We can't go wrong by just throwing it in there. Again, we're just trying to sort of model this patient as best we can. Without anything too particularly individualizing at this point. Face swelling of the veins. All right, let's go find that. So this is again for you to see how I'm doing this. Now, again, I said you can use the F3, which will bring back that navigation window. Sometimes using the backspace key or the delete key will also work, but I find that depends on which book you're in. So face swelling veins. That's a bit more characteristic of this patient, isn't it? And look at this. This is, how many is that? 68. I've only got 68 remedies there. So we're beginning to hone in a bit on profiling the patient. And then the last one was, whoops, let's see here. Our respiration difficult after exertion. Okay. So we're just going to start typing respiration difficult, enter, exertion, enter, after, enter. And then once I get the rubric I want, I always respiration difficult, exertion after. I'm going to hit enter one more time to drop in to the repertory. And look, lo and behold, the hand is pointing to what we would call an empty rubric. The actual rubric I want is this one. Respiration difficult, exertion after, aggravated. This is our patient, right? This one up here has got no remedies. So we got to make sure when we do this, we're pointing to the right remedy with the little hand, and then that equal sign is going to throw that rubric onto the clipboard for us. Okay. Now, in my analysis that I'm showing you here in my clipboard, you'll notice I've only got 4 symptoms. How did I manage that? With Lachesis, Arsenicum, Lycopodium. Let's go see what we've got here. Oh, where's my Lachesis? Oh, here it is, clear over here. So clearly something's wrong, and I've got 5 symptoms. Well, what I chose to do, and so this is going to be our first little rubric manipulation piece, is I'm actually going to combine a couple of these into a single rubric. The swelling of the feet and the swelling of the extremities. Okay, so how do we do that? We're going to highlight the rubrics that we want to combine into a single rubric. We're going to click on one, and then I'm going to press and hold on my Mac. I'm going to use the Command key so that both are highlighted. If I right click, I can then group or combine rubrics. Now, I don't want to make the rubrics go away. I don't want them to disappear. I want to be able to see what remedies are in each one, but I want to put them into a group of some kind. And so how we would do this is in this first part where it says group, and I'm just going to choose a letter of the alphabet way down here. Okay. And when I continue, et voila, this now looks like what we had on our presentation here, where we've got 4 symptoms total, lachesis arsenicum, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, let's go back and see. Yeah, lachesis arsenicum, yada, yada, yada. And you'll notice the 4 here. That's because I'm using the analysis strategy, sum of symptoms, sorted degrees. That means 4 symptoms for the first set of remedies. And then here, APUS goes down to 3. Why? These combined represent 1 symptom. APUS has the discoloration of the face and the difficult respiration. What is APUS missing? The swelling of the veins in the face. You might argue that if the remedy is not in this rubric, we're not interested in it, right? So would we be maybe interested in China? Possibly. Ferrum? Possibly. But we've got a set of remedies here at the very top that run through all 4 of our objectively observable symptoms. So are we anywhere near prescribing for this patient? No, I would argue we're nowhere near where we need to be because this guy's life is at risk, according to Kent. Okay, so this is on clipboard 3. That was an exercise, and we're basically going to ignore it as we move on. Are there any questions so far? Anybody wants to chat anything or ask anything? Okie doke. Very good. Now, yeah, so using that sum of symptoms analysis, you'll see that there are 14 remedies in this, first brush with reality. Our observation of the patient, yeah, we could be thinking, and obviously lachesis sounds doable. Okay, I see we had a hand raised, just a second. Where's sulfur? Oh, there it is. Yeah, wouldn't you think the guy might need sulfur? Where's our Nux vomica? Isn't that funny? Nux is, because he's a drinker, right? So if we want to be, very keynote-like and very, laissez-faire, we might even try giving this guy Nux vomica, but clearly we've got to go a little deeper to be able to help. Okay, so I saw something that said hand raised. Can you, person that I forget who it was? Oh, I guess if I look on the little Melody, allow to talk. Was that Melody? Did you have a question, or who raised their hand and wanted to ask something? I'm gonna have to let some of you guys in here. I would ask you to keep your microphones muted, even though I've given you permission. So Melody, did you have a question that you wanted to ask?
Yes, and I wasn't able to type it in to send it to you. I was wondering, when you made the clipboard 3,
This one here?
yes, you said you pressed option, and I don't know how to do that.
Oh, okay. Okay, very good. That's a great question. And for those of you who don't have a copy of my shortcut keyboard tips and tricks, again, I would encourage you either write to me or write to customer support, and he can get you over a copy of that so that you can see how to do these. These are just really quick shortcuts that I use all the time. If you can locate on your keyboard, are you on a Mac or a PC?
PC.
Oh, yeah. So it's not the option key. It's a different one, and I don't know which one it is off the top of my head. But here, let me show you. Here's an empty clipboard down here. You see this one must be about number 9 or so. You see where I'm pointing? Yeah, clipboard 9.
Yes.
If I press and hold this magic key, I'm holding it with my finger while I click, there's a little check mark that comes. You see that? this is now designated as the default clipboard to the system. Now, the keystroke that you're going to use for your PC is not going to be the option key. It's another one of these keys down in the bottom left hand. You can probably probe around until you find what it is. You just hold your finger on that key while you click. And as I click on the various clipboards, you'll notice that the check mark moves around. So I love this because if I'm in the repertory here and I'm just banging away, I don't want to have to be dragging and all that other kind of stuff. I just use the equal sign, which is in the upper right-hand corner of my keyboard. And as long as this little hand is pointing to the symptom that I want, that symptom will automatically go to the default clipboard. Okay?
Yeah, I really like that option. I didn't realize it was there.
I'm telling you, yeah, you're going to get
Marcy?
speed. Yes, go ahead.
On a Windows, it's Alt and then click.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. I appreciate that. And I apologize. I have enough to wrap my head around without trying to figure out those Windows keyboards. Okay, so where are we? We got our first set of symptoms, which is basically what we said was our objective observation of the patient. You know, they walk in, they got swollen veins on their face. Yeah, they're an alcoholic. Yeah, we might just give them sulfur, right, and be done with it. Nah, no such luck. All right, here's where I found myself going sideways. And so I want to take a time to talk about this a bit, and hopefully the rest of you, hopefully none of us would go so very sideways on this, but I certainly did, and I thought it was worth discussing. So we talk about etiology quite a bit, because if there's a clear etiology in a case, that can oftentimes be one of the deciding factors in terms of the prescription, right? So if you recall, there were a couple of different moments in which things that look or sound like etiologies were mentioned, right? The first one is this part here where it says this little section, and this is toward the beginning of the case. Yeah, there's another thing. Try and solve the case before you've even read the whole thing. After the loss of blood, his feet began to swell, blah, 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 blah. Okay? And that's where the edema presumably came from. So this is edema after experiencing a tremendous loss of blood. Well, watch what happens. So where's that? Here we go. Here are the observations of the patient, right? And this is what we see, the edema, we've got all this. And then I'm going, oh, look, here's China right here. Oh, bang, Bob's your uncle, as they say, must be a China case. Why? Because I'm saying, well, here's an etiology after the loss of blood. We probably all know that keynote. Comes the edema. Okay. But then we read further in the case and we come to this one, which is, has had much worry from financial losses during the last 10 years, which had made him resort to whiskey. Okay, so does that have anything to do with China? What's the problem in the case to begin with? It's true he's got this physical stuff, but the bigger problem is the alcohol. That's what's going to kill him, right? And so here we have an etiology, if you will, or a potential etiology for the resorting to whiskey and the alcoholism. Okay, so let's just take a look at what I did. And, I got to say, I hope I'm not the only one who does this sort of thing. First of all, here's my clipboard number 1. That's the one we did already. We've reworked that clipboard. My next clipboard, golly, is this going to be my etiology or is it going to be this one? Etiology number 1. Okay, so you remember I said, oh, maybe it's all because of that loss of blood. So I threw a bunch of rubrics here, generals, loss of fluids from, and let's just look at these rubrics. Here's China, but of course, so this is what happens. We convince ourselves that must be what's going on. Everything must have been happening because of the loss of fluids. Generals, loss of blood. Here's China again. Now, why is China not popping up to the top of the list here? Because I grouped all these together You see that they all have the letter A, designating them as belonging to group A or treating them as one symptom. How do I know? Again, because I'm using the same analysis strategy here, sum of symptoms, and this number 1 tells me that these are sorted first by sum of symptoms. I can go all the way out to the end of this listing of remedies. I've got 135 remedies. You'll notice in the lower left-hand corner, it says 4 symptoms, 135 remedies. I can go all the way out to the end, and they've all appear in this same combined or grouped rubric, shall we say. And then they are sorted by degrees. Well, China happens to appear, and then by alphabetical order, actually. So Calc Phos is only listed before China because it comes before China in the alphabet. But here, if I wanted to, do a not so great analysis here, I could take this clipboard and then I could, now here's where another fun keystroke is I will use, it's the command key on my keyboard. I'm going to press and hold the command key, and that will allow me to turn on the display for that first clipboard as well. Okay, so now I've got 5 symptoms. I've got the 4 symptoms from my objective observations, and I've got what I think is my etiology. Okay, and look at my China. It's looking pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, so if I wanted to walk out tomorrow and kill the patient, I might do that. Okay, so that was our first etiology. I combined all those together as a group. Now let's look at the next one. Okay, so I gotta say, let's see, where are we? Etiology of what? Well, after the loss of blood. So there's a screenshot, and I think if you guys want to get a copy of, the notes or whatever on this, you can probably get this from them as well. So if you want to review what these clipboards look like. So that's our sidebar etiology. That's not going to help us a great deal. But let's look at this other one. He has had much worry from financial losses during the last 10 years, which has made him resort to whiskey. So I thought, first I wanted to gloss over it. And then I thought, well, I probably should look at it. So we're going to look at another technique now that we can use when we are having some difficulty finding a good symptom. Okay. So let us go to, actually, let us look at one more screen here. Okay. This is the clipboard for my etiology from financial loss. Okay. This is what it looks like in a screenshot here. And you'll notice that I've got several rubrics here. Ailments from reverse of fortune, ailments from loss of money, grief from losing money. But look at the size of these rubrics. They're all, nothing is very big. I had trouble locating what I felt was an adequately sized rubric to represent this symptom. So what I did was a search, and I'm going to go to the system, and we're going to show you how we did that. Okay, so everybody hopefully remembers that I love the advanced search. If you don't know how to find that, you're going to go to this big search icon at the top, and this little down arrow will allow you to select advanced search. Okay, why do I use this one? Because it's really got everything you need and more. There's no point trying to master anything but this one. Now, this first search field here is going to invite me to search words in English, and I'm going to use financial. Oops, let me type that properly. Financial. Now you'll notice that a list is going to come up. It's going to choose a term that I like, and when I see the term I like in blue, I'm going to hit the enter or return key. Everything is locked and ready to go. I've got a blue check. I've got a little blue dot here, but the system's inviting me to put a second word here, and I am going to do exactly that. I'm going to put loss. And now nothing's locked in yet. There's no blue check. So I'm going to hit enter and enter another time. So now I've got 2 words. These words all within the same sentence, I believe, financial loss. That would be good. And I'm going to search in all documents. So I'm going to look through my entire system for, actually, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I want to search in all repertories. Okay. We could do the other, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to search in all repertories. So what the system does is it goes in and it looks for the terms financial loss anywhere and everywhere in all of the repertories. Now, here's my little trick that some of you may have not seen previously. There's a little checkbox here that says view all the documents in one list. So you'll notice I've got several repertories listed over here, and they've all got, you know, a number of rubrics. I want to take them all. So I'm going to say, show me all the documents, all the results in one list. Now you see what happened here? It is giving me all of the rubrics from every one of these repertories, all in one go over here in this window. Okay. Okay, let's get back up to the top. And now they've got a quick way for you to create a combined rubric. Now, you remember I said I don't like to combine the rubrics? Well, sometimes I do. Because what we're trying to do, we took a look and we saw that, you know, there are not a lot of great smaller rubrics for financial losses. But in this case, so we want to create our own. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just point to any one of these. And when you right click on any one of the rubrics that comes out as a result of a search here, so again, it's just a right mouse click, this menu is going to invite you to do the following. Take all rubrics, so all of them, and create a new combined rubric added to the first free clipboard. Well, who knows where that's going to land, but let's try it. Okay. Here it is. You see? You saw it counting. It went blue and it counted up. And now it says rename combined rubric. Okay, I'm gonna, whoops. This is it right here. Let's rename it. Rename combined rubric. I like to do this, financial loss. That's what I searched. Forget mind, forget all that other. I just searched for financial loss anywhere and everywhere. And I got a combined rubric here with 61 remedies. Okay. Again, using our advanced search, all I did is I changed the display. I don't have to change the display, but because by doing so, it's going to give me the opportunity to take every remedy from every one of the rubrics in all of these repertories and combine them together into this one nice financial loss thing. And with 61 remedies, I'm going to assume the guy, he's probably in there. Okay. Really quickly though, I want to clear that clipboard. So I'm just going to right click on it and, ooh, let me not clear all clipboards. Let me just cut that clipboard. Okay. Because I have that etiology here. So this is, I already did this when I was working this thing up earlier. All right. So there's my combined etiology for the financial loss, which I would argue is much more appropriate if there were to be an etiology for what's the pathology here? It's the alcoholism. Okay. So, oh, before we move on, let's make sure, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So we have an etiology of financial loss. We have our general observations. I'm feeling better about this. Now, I zeroed these out. That's another thing. This is just this group that didn't help very much. So what I've done here is they are there so that I can see which remedy falls in which one of these rubrics. But I've given them a weight, and you can do that by the simplest way is to right click and say change intensity. I just made them all 0. That means they don't, when they're all 0, they don't have any influence on our overall analysis up here, but they're here so we can see which remedies fall where. And look, oh my goodness, maybe we should give Aurum. See, this is how we fall into a pit. Maybe we should give Aurum because of the veins on the, you know, the alcoholic veins on the side of the nose, right? Keynote Aurum symptom. Okay, I'm going to pause for just a moment and see if there's anybody that wants to ask anything before we go on to the next piece of trying to solve this problem. Okay, very good. So etiology of what? So we kind of settled that. And again, I want to say, you know, I'm famous for doing this. I say famous in my own world for trying to jump to conclusions using keynotes way too quickly. So as soon as I saw the, you know, the loss of blood, I'm like, oh, it must be China. Well, no. We have to be very careful about that. And that's part of why I think the discipline of going through these cases in this way is really, really a useful learning experience. So let's go on to the next piece of importance. According to what I could see, according to the case taker, an important part of this case, let's call it an organ affinity, if you will, which is the venous stasis. And I've underlined the symptom here as he describes it in the case. First of all, we have the varicose veins on the face, and then Kent himself says a general venous stasis prevailed. Well, we can think about that also in terms of the edema in the lower extremities, right? So I thought to myself, okay, trying to learn from Kent again. This is an important organ affinity that should figure prominently for the remedy that we select, right? Now, what did I do? I did the exact same process as we did for the financial loss. And here's a screenshot of what I did. And let's just go over and let's just do that right now really quickly. So what I searched for was venous stasis. Why? Because I wasn't sure what symptoms to use. And I thought, well, let me just go for venous stasis and see where we go. So let's get to our RadarOpus. And first of all, this clipboard where I redid financial loss. Oh, I thought didn't clear. I'll just delete the rubric. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's go to our advanced search. Now, remember, financial loss is here. We want to do a new search. We've still got that window open, or we could always use the F5 function F5 key again. There's the shortcut to open that window. Lower left, I'm going to close the table of contents. That bugs me. And oh, got a brand new window here. We could also just clear the search here, and we have venous, enter, enter. Locked in, and stasis, stasis, enter, enter. I'm going to search in all repertories again. Let's see what we get. Oh, nice. Nice selection of repertories, nice selection of rubrics. Let's do the same thing just as an exercise. Now, I could just take these symptoms from Adonis. How would I do that? Same technique. I right-click, take all rubrics, create a new combined rubric, blah, blah, blah. But I'm going to go for the gusto, and I'm going to take them from all of the repertories that I have by viewing all the documents. Any one of these will give me, with a right click, will give me that same menu option. And the system is doing the work. And I have venous stasis because that's what I searched. I'll just rename it. And here it is. So I got 77 remedies. That's got to be part of this patient, right? If we're going with our organ affinities, our remedy had better be somewhere in this group. Okay, so if we take the venous stasis, here are objectively observed symptoms, and I think this is our etiology from financial loss. How are we doing? Are we getting any closer to anything? Not really. Huh? What do you guys think? Where are we going to go from here? Okay. I knew I wanted to put an organ affinity in here. I knew I wanted to put an etiology if I could find a good one, which I believe we did. These objective observations really correlate with this organ affinity here, if you will. Okay, so let's just see where I went next. Okay, again, we're just trying to follow Kent's way of thinking here. There's a picture of the venous stasis. Now, this is the search all reps and combine. This is my note from, what clipboard is that? Let's take a look. Here's the original one that I did right here. Okay. I made the note really clear here. I searched in all the repertories and combined those. These are some corresponding rubrics that one might use instead. And again, I've zeroed those out. So they're not counting. They're not in any way impacting our analysis here. Okay. And this is that clipboard that is actually redundant, so I'm going to get rid of it, rid of that rubric. And here we are. So we've got mentals, we've got some particular symptoms, some modalities. Do we have an SRP? Remember, it was an SRP, strange, rare, and peculiar, that took care of the previous case that we looked at last time. So I'm just going to run through these, and I have already repertorized these for us. And in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and basically pull up that clipboard for you. So actually, let us look at my next slide here, which gives us, so we had what I count as 4 different symptoms. These mentals, feeling as if in a dream. Then there's the feeling on top of the head as though hit by a hammer. There's the thick and cloudy urine after standing. Okay, this is pretty particular, isn't it? This is a very unique symptom, as well as flowing freely when he is standing. All right, so let's go to our, and urination frequently at night. I think I missed putting that in the screenshot there, but these are the symptoms that I decided that I wanted to include now to see if I can begin to really narrow things down. And perhaps in the process, we will find something that will just nail the prescription for us, right? So what clipboard is that? It says it's clipboard 7. Let's see, is it clipboard 7? Ha, there it is. Okay, so there's just one thing I really would like to point out here. These are pretty straightforward rubrics. Again, if you know where you're looking in the repertory, it's pretty straightforward to, let's call it, type your way to any of these. If you don't, it's using that advanced search tool that's going to help you learn how to find the best rubrics to represent your case. What I want to focus on here for just a moment, first, mind as if in a dream. Now, you know, we can't argue with any of these rubrics because they're all pretty good sized. But how many remedies do we have that follow through all 4 of these rubrics? So I'm just going to look at that. When I slide just a little bit to the right, what I notice immediately is I've only got 21 remedies in this entire graph here that cover mind as if in a dream. We're going to look at the vertex in just a moment. Frequent urination at night. And this one, the cloudy urine when left standing for a while. That's a nice symptom, isn't it? We really would like our remedy to be in that rubric because, again, it's observable. It's just he didn't observe it in the office. We would hope. Okay, so let me go back. Where do I want to go? I want to go to my analysis. There we go. So the only thing I wanted to look at here for just a moment is this business about, remember he said he had the feeling like he got hit on the head with a hammer. I thought about that and I thought, you know, I wouldn't know what to say. Is it a pulsating pain? Is it sore pain? Is it piercing? I have no idea what it is on top of his head like a hammer. And Kent's not telling us, is he? He just says he has a feeling on top of his head that felt like it got hit by a hammer. So I thought, okay, what am I going to do to, again, sort of, if you want to think about affinities, this rubric, head pain and the vertex, which is the top of the head, it's got 438 remedies. That's in my synthesis Adonis. Okay. So that's not a bad rubric. Head pain, vertex. Now I have it zeroed out. Why? Because I thought here's maybe a better rubric. This one, let's take a look at it. I'll double click. You'll notice that this comes from the Boger-Boninghausen repertory, and it's very specifically location, or shall we say affinity focused. And I thought, you know, this might even be a better rubric to indicate that he's got problems on the top of his head. Okay, so it's pointing us directly to, if you want to think about it as an organ affinity for the vertex of the head. So on this clipboard, what I decided to do, I left this one, head pain in the vertex, but I left it there really for reference purposes only because it's zeroed out. The system thinks I've only got 4 symptoms here. Now, I could bring this back. I just highlight the remedy, press the number 1, remember I said you can either right click on it and change intensity. I could zero it out again, or you can also click on the rubric and type a number. So I could bring that one into play and I could zero this one. Oh, there's my sulfur. Okay, case over. Give him sulfur and we're done, right? And I could zero this one out. Remember, what did we say? There were 21 that covered all of our symptoms. There are still only 23 remedies that cover all 4 of our symptoms. Isn't that interesting? Okay, but I'm
24.
going to, yeah, see if I slide over. So 4, sum of symptoms, 4. If I slide over to the right here, I only get down this far. Before, now I've only got 3 symptoms because I changed which version of vertex I wanted to use. The other thing I could do, maybe this is what I should do, is combine these 2, right? So that they only count as 1. Nonetheless, what I did in my analysis, just to save us time, is I zeroed this one out. I just left it there. But I wanted to make this point that sometimes, again, because he said it felt like hammers, but he didn't give us any more information than that. So we can't assume anything more than there's something going on in the vertex of his head, probably having to do with the circulatory disturbances, right? But again, let's not speculate because the case should all be here. Okay. My little control panel is getting in the way of things. It looks like I have something on the Q&A. Is it possible to name clipboards? Yeah. Bev, I'll tell you the reason I don't like naming them is because then the names stick for the next time. So you can point to the clipboard here, like I'm pointing with my mouse, right click, and it says change clipboard name. So I could put etiology, for example. But then if I put different rubrics there, then it's no longer the etiology. And yeah, you can do it, but I just sort of don't be bothered. Anyway, good. That's a good question. So yeah, we gotta get it on here because the poor patient is, he's getting pickled and he's not getting any better. So we've got some mental particular symptoms. We've got some modalities. We've got that cloudy while standing for a while with the urine. So does anybody want to venture? Let's go back to this list of symptoms. Is there anything here that is peculiar or particular to the patient that we really think we need to focus on? Anybody want to venture anything that I've not yet repertorized here that, again, as Kent said, is peculiar, strange, rare, and peculiar to the patient themselves? Okay, anybody? Oh, people are typing things in. Okay, Bev, we're going to leave the clipboard naming off for now. Oh, alcoholism. Okay, alcoholism is good. We could repertorize alcoholism. That is essentially the chief complaint, is what we've decided to call it here, is the chief complaint for this particular patient is the alcohol. That's what's going to kill him. The difference between urination while standing or sitting. Paulette, righto. Watch what happens. Let us go. Okay, this one we saw. Let us go here. Remember, he cannot pass urine while sitting at stool, but it flows freely when he is standing. This is very peculiar, and it's particular and peculiar to the patient. Look at this. This rubric. I'm going to go there. And whoops. What did we say it was? Bladder. Okay. It's in the bladder chapter. Let's go look there. Oh, not Boninghausen. Okay, little arrow to the right. Get our list of open repertories. We want Adonis. All right, bladder, B-L-A-D, bladder. Urination. Standing. Amel. Boom. There are only 3 remedies. Okay, so now, which one of us in our right mind would say, well, it must be one of these remedies, right? That would not be fair to the patient. But we have some interesting, that it's worthy of consideration, right? So I put it here on this clipboard. There it is. Now, what I want to do is I'm just going to say, all right, if indeed this is our strange, rare, and peculiar, and we know that Kent you know, he did this for us. What if I take this clipboard and I begin to compare it and look at these three remedies, sarsaparilla, illumina, and chimp. I don't know how you, I can't remember how you say the name of that one, but it has an affinity for the prostate, if I'm not mistaken. So the urinary tract as well. Let's take this symptom and let's push it up against some of our other ones. Like, let's put it up against this clipboard that we just did with the mind as if in a dream. And what is happening? Look at sarsaparilla. Oh, look at illumina. Huh. How about that? Let us look at, do you all remember the big organ affinity, which is the venous stasis? I believe I have that on this clipboard right here. I'm going to put that up. Oh my gosh. So here with the venous stasis now, we still have sarsaparilla and illumina neck and neck. Okay. We've got some other remedies, but if we want to consider this as a SRP in this case, now again, all I'm doing is pressing and holding the command key as I like to term it toggle on and toggle off various clipboard displays. Where's that etiology we were looking at? I think it's this one. Financial loss. Ha! Look at this. See your sarsaparilla here? Sorry, just want to highlight this remedy. Here it is, ailments from the loss of money. There's the rubric right there. And lo and behold, sarsaparilla, which, oh yeah, that's a urinary tract remedy, isn't it? You know, yeah. So who thinks we're there? Who wants us to continue? I'm gonna zoom out a little so we can maybe show like another clipboard. Let's show that first one, our observations of the patient. Let's put that one in. Look, the swelling of the feet, the face, the swelling of the veins in the face. Okay, I rest my case. This has to be a great remedy. Illumina fell off the map somewhere along the line here. I think illumina fell off the map with the etiology of the financial loss, right? Okay, so there are a lot of other ways that we can slice and dice this case, but because we've only got a few minutes left, I want to go ahead and see if we can conclude the matter. So here is the conclusion of the matter. Sarsaparilla, CM, 1 powder in water, 8 doses spread over 2 days, and plenty of sack-lack. Okay. No aggravation seemed to follow. And at the end of, this is beautiful, end of a month, he was so much improved and still improving that he continued to take sack-lack, which restored him to a very comfortable existence. And he is temperate and works for his living and supports his family, which was previously done by his wife with her needle. So what did I do to try and follow the thread here? We looked at the observation, our objective observation of the patient. That was on that first clipboard. We looked at etiology, a couple of things. We almost got sidetracked by the loss of blood there with the swelling of the limbs. We looked at this affinity, the venous stasis affinity. We looked at these mental particulars, modalities, and then finally we managed to get that SRP and drag that out. Now, one more thing that I will show you that I like to do if I think I'm hot on the trail. I'm going to go back into my RadarOpus. I'm going to go back to my search. Let's just clear this all out. Let's say that I said to myself, you know, I really want to give sarsaparilla. SARS. So you'll notice that I went to the remedies field here in the advanced search and I typed sarsaparilla with the period for the abbreviation. That lessens my work. Enter, enter. There's the remedy. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to see something about venous stasis, because, you know, I didn't think about that remedy in that way. But if I just type in venous, so what this is going to do, let's see, let's search in all documents and let's see if we can come up with something. Oh, look here. So the search that we did here is for the remedy sarsaparillas and the word venous together. And look, even for example, in Murphy's repertory, oh, varicose veins. there's 110 remedies. Well, you know what? Maybe I learned something because I might be able to just use that rubric next time. Okay, so we want to confirm at the end of the day. We want to confirm at the end of the day our prescription by taking a look at some of the prominent symptoms, including, urination, for example. Obviously, no sarsaparilla is all over urination in the bladder, so there's not really much to show there. Okay, that will conclude today's presentation. I'm going to do one thing and then I'm going to answer some questions. So this right here, open link to, this is the RadarOpus North America homepage. And when you go here and you click on, or you mouse over where it says training, and it says free on-demand videos, you will find some recordings. One kind of recording you're going to find by putting my name in here, MARCI. And if, for those of you who are brand new, I have a series called Getting Started, parts 1, 2, and 3, and you can follow along at your own pace with those, and you'll learn basically how to do all of the stuff. Apparently that last one that I just didn't come up, but if I put learning, I think I put learning or something like that, and no, that's not it either. Maybe it's basics. I'm so sorry. Finding rubric, quick start. Oh, come on, Marcy. Well, I don't know where that, maybe it's just because it was fairly recent and that's what I did. Oh yeah, build repertory skills by studying. You put build. There you go. Build repertory skills. This is the one I did like a month ago. And so the one from today should be up here as well. If you just put in build, you can find, because there's so many, it's hard to find them otherwise. Okay, so I'm going to look at my typed in questions here. Where would we find the list of keyboard shortcuts? I'm going to see if I can have the customer service people upload it with the video. If not, what you will need to do is you will need to connect with support. And that would be like so. Contact us. So if you go again, radaropus.us, it's important to use the North American group. And if you go contact us, here we go. Here's the email. Write to Nakash and tell him you want that file that I made up with your shortcuts. It's like 4 pages and it has the Windows and the PC on there for you. Okay. So I will take, if anyone is the source of Kent's cases on Radar. Yeah, I don't like to give away my secrets. This particular volume, it's Kent's Lesser Writings. Now, here's what you can do. If you go under references, depends on the library that, oh, look at that. Depends on what library you have. I've got, a big package. I've got pretty much everything. But under references, where it says search reference, just put KENT. And this particular one I found in, which one did I find it in? New Remedies, Clinical Cases, and Lesser Writings. Okay, so, don't be cheating and read up on all my cases before I get a chance. And I'll tell you something, these are worth studying. And I would encourage all of you to, try to work up a few of these yourself and see where you get stuck, see where you make mistakes. And your prescribing will improve, particularly when you're doing acutes. Modern day constitutional prescribing is a much different animal. We have many more remedies. We have lots of methodologies. But if you're just trying to do a raw acute, or you've got a kid in front of you and you need to just get, a basic polycrest remedy, study some of these cases. And I think you'll be pleased with the progress that you can make through these techniques. Yeah, it's a great way to learn. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Oh, no, I'm not going to stop sharing because I also want to say, this is me, Marcy Burns. I do this. I do one-on-ones in small groups. If, people want to do more study, or you have some reason that you want to get a hold of me and ask me a quick question, I'd love to hear from you. So with that being said, I am going to stop my share and encourage anybody who has anything that they would like to say or ask, take your chance because we got 3-4 minutes left. Anybody? Okay, great. Well, oh, okay. So everybody's putting their stuff in the Q&A. Thanks very much. Yoa, thank you. Thank
I have a
you,
question.
Lori. Yes, please. Yeah, ask me questions. That's what I love. I live on them.
So I bought Radar a while ago, probably like a year ago, and it's sitting in the little box because I was also still in school to become a naturopathic doctor. I have to pick one computer for it to go on, correct? And like upload and stuff?
Not necessarily. I have it on 2 separate computers. I can't run them at the same time because I have the little key. You know, I have this little plug-in thing that I would have to move back and forth from the USB port on one computer to the USB port on another.
Okay, so as
Yeah.
long, because I'm not sure my computers have enough space if I have to put it all on there, but if I can just plug it into a USB.
No. The USB, let me try and clarify. The USB is like a license identification. It's like an ID tag
Okay,
that has to be plugged in while you're using the software. There are some optional things like, you know, use it without a key and put it on multiple. I'm like not up to speed on all of the questions regarding space required and all. So again, I would encourage you to get a hold of customer support. That's orders@radaropus.us. That's their email address. And then just go ahead and ask any and all questions you can, and they should be able to help you there. But yeah, now that you've seen this, hopefully you'll get the thing loaded up and start playing around with it.
yeah, thank you.
It's my pleasure. Okay, so I see, are these more questions? Okay, a bit more info about my monthly class. Oh, well, there's one more of these sessions, and it is in the middle of November. Let me have a look and see if I can give you the date, Paulette. It's going to be, oh, why does it not say? I'll guarantee you it's going to be on the 15th of November. I'm looking at the wrong computer. Hold on. I believe this was just a 3-part series. I was asked, yes, it'll be on the 15th of November, same time, same station, 4 p.m. Pacific. You would be most welcome to join. And, you know, if you like this kind of thing, let them know, because I don't know, maybe we make it a regular. I've also thought about offering a little small group. So if that's something that interests you, do let me know, because again, I love doing these kinds of things. And I know that most of us, we can always learn from those who've gone before us, right? So yeah, with that, it's just a little after the end of our session scheduled. So I want to thank everyone for your attendance and wish you all the very best in your doing good work in the world. I'm so honored to be able to be here, and I hope to see the rest of you again in a month. Okay. And again, let me know if you want to do more of this, and we'll see what we can make happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending. I hope to see you all soon. Bye for now.